So I will bite my tongue, tame these emotions.
Well, hey everyone, thanks for joining us for the 5th installment of No Small Podcast, non-podcast, video cast. Because Brandon won't let us do a podcast. Never, ever. So today we're talking about a 3-letter word, R. And
better than a 4-letter word.
That's wise. So I don't know. I guess we'll just get right into it because we do have a special guest. I bet no one can guess who it is coming up for us. When we're writing these songs, we like wise, right? Wise was going to be about wisdom. But like for me, R and 2 were really weird to think about. Like what can you say that means something about the word R? I really like what we did with 2, and we'll get into that when we get to 2. But I don't know where. I guess Waltman, why don't you take us in on, where didn't we start with R being something about like existentialism or about like being and things like that, and then how did that really morph into, I guess, what it became?
Yeah, I mean, it does pose that existential question. I mean, it does do that in the chorus for sure. And the chorus is really like, we had this long convoluted writing session for the lyrics of this song. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I mean,
Yes.
it makes sense. Like if you're going to be like, okay, let's have a song called R, and then we're going to make it existentialism themed. It just, it's like, wow, where are we going to go with this? No, but asking the question, if you guys notice, like the first verse into the first chorus is introspective. The second verse and the second chorus is more collective, more collaborative. So the idea there is that we ask the question of meaning of ourselves first, and then we ask it collectively. Secondly, bringing everyone into the sort of conversation that's posed there. But what we did was for us, I think, Sean, the first verse really, it started with the idea you were like, hey man, like I'm always wondering if I'm personally spending my time well, like are my kids and my wife, like, am I neglecting them? Like we really circled around that word neglect. I mean, I don't know if anybody that's listening to this has that problem, feeling like, man, like my life is overloaded. Because I feel that way almost always. Like my life is completely overloaded, and maybe I'm not spending enough time with the things and people that really matter. And is there going to be a consequence for that? Like, who am I if that is the case? Like, is that lining up? And then so like that second verse, it really is like posing the question more towards really Christians. I mean, it really is more specific in that sense. It's not just vaguely. It really is quoting a Bible verse there, and posing it towards Christians, like who are we as a church, universal church, if we, you've heard that expression, don't see the forest for the trees. Well, we're asking, like, what if you don't see the forest or the trees? What if you missed everything? Like you missed all of it because you're so focused on being right about an argument or being right about your theology. And, we've talked about this a couple of times, like you guys know, I'm really, really like into theology. I love theology. I think it's super important to be wise and to get truth right. And that's one of the reasons that this song really marries well with wise. But we really can't exercise wisdom unless it's in the context of love first. And so like if we don't get that right, one of the things that I was sort of thinking about this week as we were talking about doing this one, when I was a kid, I used to have like all these different fads. Did you guys ever get into like, I don't know, like Pokemon or like Yu-Gi-Oh or like
I still have all my Pokemon cards, man.
Yeah, or baseball cards, something, whatever it is, like there's always something that you're really like focused on as a kid. And like
Hogs.
right. All of that, but eventually it kind of falls away and you move on to the next thing. I think I'm always scared that in my life I'm doing that as an adult. Like I'm jumping into a guitar pedal or playing guitar, playing music, or jumping into, having a house, or like jumping into a career, whatever it is. And like, I'm not seeing the actual priority for the things that are most important. I'm not making the main thing the main thing. And like, if we miss, like if we're focused on all this other stuff and we miss loving people and caring about the things that have eternal value, like who are we if we missed all of that? So that's kind of how we morph, into that R theme, and it has this real existential question posed. Did you guys think about any of that when we were sort of working through it?
Yeah, I mean, that was really, for me, that was like really where I needed to get to actually be able to like work on the structure and the movement of the music. Like until we could really have like a coherent thought in where and how we wanted to move. Though we don't write the lyrics necessarily before we write the music, um, I really can't write the music or the structure or the movement without knowing where we're trying to go, and at least the idea that we're trying to convey. And so, yeah, I really liked how the first verse and chorus were just very introspective, um, of of the individual. And then I think that verse 2 and chorus 2 really are still introspective, but of the collective, of us as an entity, Dens as a group, or Dens and Comrades with Laura as a group, as people, the church in general, us as ministers. Um, and so I really liked how those two things correlated together, when we talk about, you know not wanting to be a hypocrite, wanting to be real, and also trying to balance all the things that we have to balance, between jobs, between our mission, um, marriages, um, all of those things.
Yeah, I think one of the beautiful things in this song for me. So last week we had our dads on, and I think one of the last things that my dad said was, his whole thing throughout like my childhood was like he always said, "Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying." And so like the ability to tie that thing that my father taught me into the song right after Men, where we talk about if our actions always contradict every word flowing from our lips. Like, um, I don't, nobody would get that connection, but that's there for me. And I, because of that, and because of the collaboration with Laura and everything, like this is probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that Men flows so well into this song, I idea wise. Um, you know,
Also, a welcome sonic break.
that's true too. That's true. I do like musically. I do like that. Like we went pretty, steady, with kind of rocking it out for the first three songs instead of dropping. On No Small Tempest, the second song, like, I mean but musically it makes sense because of what we're talking about. I mean, it's the plunge down into the water, but that's for another episode. But I'm just glad that we went three songs, till we got to this one. But I was just thinking as we were talking through, especially what Josh, your dad, what Scott said last week about, it's really how you treat um, people who you think, I guess, are lower than you, or not necessarily lower than you, but those that serve you, you treat people that seek to serve you really says a lot about who you are. You know, and I even think with everything kind of going on, you know, we were even talking about this a little bit earlier, like with the whole Ellen thing, where like Ellen is this like really nice, like happy, bubbly personality on TV. And then like you're hearing all these stories about her being like so mean and like nasty. And like we don't know her. So I mean, I don't have any say whatsoever into who Ellen DeGeneres is, from the standpoint of like how she treats people. But
Not so generous, apparently.
oh gosh. But I mean, the thing the what I heard somebody say about that was inherently people are complicated. People are more complicated than 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 what we see on TV or what people see through us here on, you know, these podcasts and, you know, in our music. You know, people are messy. And the thing is like, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We're continually going to mess up. But the point of this song is that we at least need to be striving for and making a conscious intention to wanting to be who we are striving to be. And sometimes there are people out there that can fake it really well. There's sometimes people out there that really are who they want, or really try to be, or really are trying to be who they want to be, and fail at it sometimes. But I thought what your dad said last week was really, you know, a good thermometer for how we're doing, and how are you treating those around you that you're not trying to impress. And so this song is very much that kind of check, kind of heart check, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So I was just going to ask you, who were y'all's influences musically on this one?
Yeah, so I think even before we knew, like, even before we had nailed down where exactly the song was going thematically, probably the biggest influence was Manchester Orchestra did a cover of Pedro the Lion's Bad Things to Such Good People. And so it's like, it's Andy Hull and Julian Baker doing this, like, doing these crazy harmonies. And it's like, it's just this tragic song that I think touches a little bit on like the consequences of your actions and things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy that even though I don't think that I don't think that I ever voiced that to the rest of the group, but like that was the vibe I was going for. That's what I was hoping we would
That
hit
song
at.
on the playlist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can find that song on Taming Tones, only on Spotify. Uh, but yeah, like I don't know. It's just crazy that like we got the tragic song, we got the male and female, like, you know, dual vocals and harmonies and all that stuff, and so I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, this song is in drop C, and so along with Wise, why are you giving me a weird look? JT, are you giving me a weird look?
I did not.
I don't know. You're just on my screen.
Smug.
Yeah,
The ring light is like all up in my eyeballs here.
yeah, we can see it. They're glistening.
It's just his face.
Yeah, but so this song, Wise, and Two, yes, are yes, those three. Those are the highest. Those are the highest keys on the record. You know, everything else I played down low on the baritone, but this one I actually played in on the Reverend in drop C, and I know that we kind of were listening to "You're Ever So Inviting," right, on Define the Great Line. We were listening to that. I was listening to that and kind of was jamming around, different chord structures and things like that. And so that's kind of how R and Y's kind of got stitched together. I think we knew that we kind of wanted to do that, but it wasn't necessarily, didn't come really to full fruition until really had that musical piece and we're like, all right, this is where we can do it and how we can do it, and changed it up into like, it's the same kind of chord structure, but it's a different time signature when we go into Y's. So for me, that was the musical influence, kind of where my head was at in when I was thinking about this song.
What about you, Brandina?
I would actually say Ascend the Hill.
Really?
That was, yeah. I mean, just to me, the vibe of it and like the dynamics of it, like, I don't know, it just seemed Ascend the Hill-ish. I mean, I go ahead.
No, that's cool. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, granted, I didn't like play some crazy, awesome, complicated pattern or something, but just the dynamic shift and playing something simplistic was, I really like. Actually, I remember when Sean laid down the guitar part at the beginning, and like because of the ambient and swirling nature of the guitar tone, like I really felt like it caught me off guard. I remember when Sean would start singing the first verse, because it was like I couldn't find where the one was or something, and just have it. For one, we had talked about putting like an electronic beat or something somewhere either in the record or on the song, and like to me it just ended up being the perfect place to do it. And it was something simple, and I mean not that hard or whatever, but I just remember having that in there and I'm like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Just it feeling good.
Yeah. So for me, when I thought about the song, I really wanted to do something Sigur-Rós-y, with the swells and just like that really big reverb overdrive push there into the the blend between the songs.
There's a ton of breakup in the guitars during all of that.
Yeah, so I mean that's what happens when you throw a whole lot of delay and reverb and overdrive. But yeah, I wanted to like Sigur-Rós. I love Sigur-Rós so much because of how like they create a mood in the music, and I just wanted that sort of mood and that vibe instrumentally, because I knew kind of what we were wanting to do with lyrics.
We did have to be careful not to stray too close to Wretched.
Yeah.
With it, so we had to do a couple of different things with that. So one of the things that we did to make it different was we had a guest vocal come on, and when we were thinking about who could do the guest vocal, we did not have to think very hard and long on that to know that we wanted Laura from Comrades to join us on this song. And so we have Laura from Comrades joining us for this episode of R, because who else would join us for this episode of R? Because in case you're wondering, that was not Brandon's angelic voice singing back up on that song. Josh Waltman, if you guys thought, if Josh Waltman was going to have a voice, it would be pretty epic to sound like that. You would think it would be like deep bellow, but no, it's not.
I'm just imagining my voice coming out of Josh's mouth.
Oh man,
We can do some video and make that
We
happen.
should do
very
this.
Mike Tyson-esque actually. So
You good at lip syncing?
we can make that happen. Yes,
The next lip sync battle.
Tattoos on your face too.
right.
Yeah. Anyways, before this divulges into another foolish episode, so I guess when we had been thinking about putting you on the record for a long time.
Sure.
Uh,
When we were thinking about,
But it's more like we've been thinking about begging you to be on our record. Less about us like thinking about, yeah, we might put her on, or maybe we won't. It's more like maybe she will if we beg her.
We're kind of like wait for the right time, the right moment.
Ask nicely. Usually.
we're trying to save enough money in the budget to afford you.
Wait, so if I'd held out, I would have gotten I could have gotten like cars and showered with gifts and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we've got some. I've got Hot Wheels.
Partridge in a pear tree.
It wouldn't have been evolving. Right.
Not a Volvo.
The bucket of Hot Wheels.
Yeah. Joe would have burned it in the backyard. Like, nope, not doing this. So, I don't know. Did we like pick that R was going to be the song from the get go?
Yeah, I just got Josh. I think you sent me the thing. You were like, "Hey, would you sing on this?" And I was like, "Sure." And then you were just like, second verse, you get to sing it, and I was like, okay. And
That's how he communicates with us. Like
Succinct.
Hey, and you're like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll do that.
Mhm.
But I remember, like, before we reached out to you, I can't even remember if we decided if it was going to be this song or not. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I remember that because we were like, yeah, we really need this song to like be kind of chill at first, and like we want it to be pretty, because like the album, the first few songs were really intense. So like by the time we hit this song, we wanted to make sure that like it kind of chilled out for a little bit. We were like, who has an incredibly chill and awesome voice that probably would like not like it would sound good with Sean? And then we're like, nobody really sounds good with Sean because Sean doesn't sound that good.
No.
So then we were like, well, at least maybe if Laura did it, it would be cool.
She can save the song. She could save the song.
You didn't know all that pressure was on your shoulders when we sent it on to you.
no, well, but it was funny because when I think there was something with deadlines. It was like, hey, I need it by this time, and then there was stuff
Oh,
happening.
y'all were leaving for a tour or something.
Don't need it by this time, and I was like, oh no. And then I was like, hey, you definitely need it by this day. And Josh was like, yep. And I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, didn't you like turn it around in like a day and a half or some crazy stuff?
Well, because I'd been working on it for like a week, I think. And I was like, okay. So I'd like sing it a couple times every day, like get it stuck in my head, And then we were about to leave for Europe last year, and I was like, hey, Joe, we have to pack for Europe, and then we have to record this song before we leave. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, we got to record this Den song. And he was like, okay.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's pretty rock and roll, though. Yeah, we got to go to Europe. We got to pack for that, and then I got to record this.
Yeah.
Was that Christmas Rock Night?
Yeah. Yeah. So we recorded it in my room, which I'm in now. So this I'm not gonna show you the rest of it because
The room sounds great.
and so yeah, I think it took me like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't I mean, especially since you've been listening like it.
Yeah.
And I don't know because like I've only been asked to guest on one thing, but I know that you've done a couple of them. Was this any different than the way that you've done? Did you feel like you had freedom in it?
You can't say that now, Sean.
No, I mean, how do you? I guess I'll ask it better this way: when you're asked to do a guest, how do you approach it? I know like sometimes things are laid out, but like first we didn't give to you.
Yeah. Well, usually when some people expect things like they're just like, okay, I think you can do anything. And that's not the case. I will try, but it does not necessarily mean that I'm going to vibe with this. So usually I'm like, send me the song you want me to sing on. And then I'll like listen to it and see like, with harmonies, it's a little different because like, unless they want something that's like, hello, I am not an opera singer and cannot sing arias. I can probably do it because it's like harmony. I have a lot of freedom. But with most things, it's like listen to it and see if I can do it and then tell them yes or no.
Well, and I mean, I think the really the part of this song that really blew me away was the harmony, because it feels like a unique harmony. It doesn't feel like a standard harmony. How did you approach that, or is it just kind of you just kind of do it by ear and whatever kind of sounded good?
For sure. Well, because I mean, you know, when you grow up and you are a worship leader, your job is to figure out harmonies all the
I
time.
suck at that. Like
Really?
I can't do it.
Well,
Is
okay,
that a
fine.
joke? Did he really just say that? He's like a human vocoder.
I feel like I've gotten better at it over the past couple years, but like seriously, when I go in and do harmony, like there's no, for me, like the difference between my melody and harmony is I'll approach a melody with, like that root third fifth, right? That
Yeah.
I'll like, if I get stuck on a melody, I'll take the chord and I'll like start on one of those notes and try to
Right.
play around with it. But I do not approach harmony in that way. I approach harmony in the way of I just kind of open my mouth and whatever I feel like mixes with, like I can hear pitch wise whether or not it's correct or not, but like I don't approach harmony from a theory standpoint.
Right.
So I don't know
I
if you do that or not.
like the only harmony. So I took music theory in college and I passed it. And I think the only thing I used for music theory is like the way they talk about like it moves
Right.
and like have people singing on the same note and then it splits and they'll do harmonies that go like down and up at the same time, and like the way that they can like move in and out of each other. And I feel like that's the only thing that I remember, like even apply to my at all, because otherwise I just want to cry. So yeah, I'm on the page of like, you just feel it, and if it feels right, that is what you sing.
Well, and the thing too is that I really like, even with Leroy on Foolish, is we kind of gave him a roadmap, but
Mhm.
like, hey, do what you want. And really, for me, I think the chorus is one of those moments in that song that
Mhm.
Oh, for sure.
it is just this it's not explosive musically. I mean, we do that together right after that chorus and everything
Right.
gets loud and we do these soaring notes, but
Yeah.
right there in that kind of fragile moment where there's not a lot of music going on, that's just the harmony with that melody is so good, and it just creates one of those moments in the song that I think a lot of people, especially when we did it live at Face Down Fest, was just one of
Mhm.
the things that like, it's a moment that not only happens on the record but is able to be reproduced live. And I think that when you play music and you collaborate with people, when you find that, you've really found gold.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought that because when I heard it, I was like, this needs to still be like somber and introspective and just like going along with the lyrics. I was like, it doesn't need like some sort of like Hillsong blah 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 harmony going on. It's like this needs to have like some sort of intellectual vibe going on.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to me, the fact that you like vibe, that you vibe that and you like read that, from the lyrics and the already of the tone, like the tone of the song. I mean, that's, to me, that's really impressive, instead of just being like, hey, I'm going to sing this. Like you really like, you sang to the song, and I mean, it for real, it really made the song.
yeah,
It's almost like you're a folk singer or something on the side, or like something like that.
am.
Is it a side? Is it? It's more like, I don't know.
Well,
Like,
now it's more like, yeah. Because like with Comrades music, it's like Joe writes all the guitar parts and then we like do everything else afterwards. So I've just been sitting in my room writing really sad folk songs.
nice.
Yeah.
Like dial into them.
No, but I did
Does he
make it.
still own a violin? I want to know that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Yes.
we did the we did a Good Riddance cover, and
I did see that. That's right.
yeah, I was like, hey, can you? Well, I was just in my room playing it, and then he was like, wait a second, because I was listening to it, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna have to sing this part because it's not. If you don't have that like violin part, it's just kind of it's a little flat. So I like was like, I think I'm gonna have to sing that violin part. He's like, wait a second, and he comes back and I was like, I didn't tell you to get your violin and you brought it. Okay. Usually he's like, I'm not good at violin. I can't do this. And I'm just like,
And he's like,
the rest are like,
yeah,
yeah.
basically how it goes with Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
That was like Charlie Daniels there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
The devil went down to Georgia or Colorado.
So
I don't know which.
oh gosh.
Could be.
Oh man.
Well, anyways, but yes, that part in that song, really for me, whenever people can collaborate together and they're putting their spin on things and their heart into it, man,
Mhm.
I think it's really makes for cool moments. And so,
I will say this too, so I had a hand in writing the lyrics for that second verse, and when I put that together, I kind of, this sounds really funny, but in a way, like I kind of knew that we were going to ask you to sing on it,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, man, these lyrics really, how can I write these lyrics in a way that kind of embody you in a way, like.
Oh.
Because I really do think of you guys that way and Comrades, but you in particular, like being about loving other people and taking other people seriously and having like a real authenticity. I think a lot of people know that about you guys.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, so seriously though, like the lyrics were kind of written in a way like with you guys in mind. So I thought that was really cool. I don't know if you probably didn't even know that.
I didn't know that. Do you know like trees? Is that what you're like? Wow. No, I didn't. That's awesome.
I knew, I mean, yes, when we went in to write the lyrics and we were there in West Virginia and we knew that you were singing it, when I asked earlier, did we know this song specifically as we were like actually writing and putting together things? But yeah, I mean, and on that note, I mean, singing that, I don't know if you're ready or willing to answer this question, but I mean, what does, I guess, the song mean to you personally? Did you take something away from what we had given you to sing?
Well, because I think that one of the things. What? Oh, I'm being asked to go hiking.
The answer is yes.
Just go.
Okay.
Okay.
Y'all have fun.
I love you, Joe.
Love you, Sean.
Love
What's
you.
up, Joe?
Freaking
All
everybody's
of
there.
them's here.
So, look at Waltman.
Yo, so I'm just saying, I got a little banjo going on here, just waiting for us to do a collab.
Oh man, I got my mandolin. Let's do it.
See you, man.
We actually have to deploy you on a maybe an upcoming project.
Yo.
Yo, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Down.
You heard it here first.
So, I think that because the first verse and second verse, like they definitely felt like Sean's verse is the first verse, and then I felt like now that I know that you wrote it for me to sing,
Yeah.
it's just like I think it's very interesting that you did that because it is very much about like being honest with yourself and having like clarity when it comes to like character and living out what you believe and like I think that's something that we are all constantly learning, even if we think that we've achieved any aspect of like being authentic and being like not hypocritical in our lives. I think that's one of the things that we as Christians come across a lot is like people are just like everybody's just a hypocrite and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, everybody's a hypocrite and we have to if we assess ourselves with any sort of candor, like we have to admit, like at some point we are hypocrites. But it's like, do you see that, or do you just blindly keep going in that direction? And like, I think that with this song, like, it asks that question, like, am I being the person that aligns with my values and aligns with who I want to be? And also it's interesting because I think that one of the things about being someone who wants to, and this is probably everyone, but you want to be like your true authentic self, right?
Yeah.
You kind of have like a more critical lens on yourself, but also on other people. And I think that like the first line where it's like, sometimes you speak of holy things with righteous conviction, and like then we forget like there's love and grace, and those things have to be together or it doesn't work, and you end up being the hypocrite that you're so avidly trying to not become. And so I do think that yeah. And it's interesting because like sometimes I like when we played that show in San Jose and there was just some very difficult people that we had to deal with, and I was being like I was just like angry and like this, and I really just want to mosh that guy, but like not just like friendly mosh, just like mosh him. Like
I remember that.
I have no,
yeah, I was like,
no idea at all.
what?
Sean was in the background.
No
I'm
idea.
like internalizing all of it, and then I'm just like up there like singing this song with you guys, and I'm like, yep, this is for me. It's my yep. You know? So yeah, it's been really cool just being a part of it, and yeah, thanks for letting me do it. It's real cool.
Yeah, I think it's super cool because before we like started the recording or whatever, we were kind of talking about Flood City Fest, and you know that had to be done digitally this year and everything. But you know, something that fest in particular is like super known for is like just that sense of community and authenticity and
Yeah.
realness. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's super cool how there's an underground scene of people that are interested in music and musicians. You know, many of them are Christians, and you know, not everyone, but you know, that's cool too. But there's just this community of people that really do care about, you know, trying to serve one another and trying to understand one another. And I don't know, I feel like I missed that a little bit this year in that
Yeah.
I wasn't able to be there physically, but it was super cool to see it done on Facebook.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It still felt like we were together. It was like, it was this weird, I don't know, it was just like a moment, you know, like it was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just cool to still see like the community in action and, you know, like just supporting one another despite Facebook trying to shut it all down. But
Yeah. We're still trying to get Facebook to stop shutting it down.
yeah, but I don't know. I just kind of feel, for me, like personally, like I think about this song, I can't help but think about people and places like that, and think about like, hey, I really want to be the kind of person that can go and just care about others and like really, like not have an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? Like I want to be the kind of person that prioritizes love for others above any other sort of agenda. And like to your point, like sometimes that feels like it's a little bit more, you know, desire than it's not necessarily implemented perfectly. And I've got this tension within me that I'm constantly battling and trying to make sure that, you know, my actions are in line with that desire. But
Right.
I don't know. I think it's super cool. It's interesting as musicians, like you were saying, you know, we're kind of in an industry that's all about building platform and building influence and things like that. And you know, so like for me, like this song is like the anti, like it's the anti like typical Christian or music anthem, I should say. Like it's,
Mhm.
hey, like let's take a step back and think about others and loving other people and making sure our actions line up with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just real cool. And we need
I
more
mean,
of those,
go ahead.
honestly. Oh, I was just like, we need more songs like that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, at least to me personally, not that it's become like kind of a fad or whatever to, to lump the church into a hole and say that, there's been damage done to, people groups and stuff like that, generationally. But, I mean, just being aware of, loving people first and then having those, walking alongside people and having those conversations about, spiritual things, that it's not, like Waltman said, like it's not this agenda, but, to me, like that with that verse, just speaking of holy things,
Mhm.
recklessly, because we're
Yeah.
just trying to make a point or, spew some sort of spiritual knowledge or onto somebody,
Yeah.
but being able to really like know them first and have like a genuine care about who they are and
Yeah.
why they are. And I don't know, like that it's kind of cool. I mean, that's one of the awesome things about music is that even with lyrics, like they can mean different things to different people, and
Mhm.
everybody takes something different away from it. And I
Right.
personally, that's kind of what I've felt with this song, but everybody gets something different.
Yeah. And I feel like I know this is something I can say. I feel like coming from like an evangelical background, we're so like conditioned to just like focus in on like leading people to a specific place and not
Yeah.
necessarily like recognizing that everybody, it's like, I don't know, I think this is one thing I've learned is that like we don't have to be impressive for God to work, you know? And I think that the more impressive you feel like you have to be, the more likely you are to hurt people in the wake of whatever you're trying to do. So, yeah. Um,
No, for sure. So like one of the things with this song, it ties together instrumentally with the next song, which is Wise. And so like the crux of that song is harping on bowing the knee in terms of your your cognitive ability, in terms of how you think, in terms of your reason. And so if you're bowing the knee and making sure, we almost, I hate to use this word, guys, I'm sorry, it's almost a little preachy, honestly, that song. But like when at least when I was thinking about the lyrics, like that's as close as we get to being preachy on the whole album is Wise.
yeah.
But like when we throw that out there with the next song, like lyrically it does the same thing as it does musically, in that the context of that message is in the first song, and that context is, look, like anything we do, it has to be done out of love and a recognition of the inherent value of the other person, right? Regardless of whether or not they respond the way that maybe they don't believe like we think that they should believe or whatever. Maybe they're not exercising good wisdom
Yeah.
in all the consequences therein. But like recognizing, like I love you because Jesus loved me, and that's the whole framework by which we're going to even come together. And maybe we don't have to like be preachy or anything like that, but like just recognizing, hey, like let's not talk about holy things like we're a wrecking ball. We're not trying to jump in and destroy destroy someone because the end goal is that they recognize God's love for them. And sometimes obviously you have to take down barriers, and sometimes people have, I have my own issues, everybody has their own issues, that's for sure, but like
Yeah.
you don't want to be counterproductive when you talk about those holy things, right?
Right. And also in like in exhibiting humility, you are kind of being an example for others to learn how to be receptive to having their barriers taken down. Because it's not easy.
Yeah, Laura, you are the best you're like the best example of this I could possibly think. You might be one of the most meek people I've ever met, honestly. So, but just like, even like your mean is not that mean. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm
Okay.
not push this dude, but like you say it so sweet and like happy and joyfully. I'm like, no, she's not actually gonna hurt anybody.
Like, Joe might beg to differ, but it's not. My mom.
That's cool.
Thanks.
Well, I mean, I think what makes this song even more special is just sometimes bands pick people to do guest vocals. And we did. I mean, you pick bands that are tiers above where you are, which is what we did with this. We picked you and Comrades because y'all are tiers above us. But sometimes people do that just to do that, just for the name, just for whatever. And with this, we know you guys, we know you, and I think that just made the song even more special and even more meaningful is because it wasn't just getting this name, this person to sing this part. It was we knew that this part was going to get your heart, and I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did.
Wow, are you a vocalist or something?
Yeah. This is why I can't write lyrics. This is why Waltman has forbade me. But with the whole with what the song's about, the fact that it correlates with with all of us personally, one of the factors in getting you to do it was like, hey, we play with you guys frequently. We could probably do this live a few times, and it it allows people to experience a live moment that isn't about you, that isn't about us, isn't about them. It's just this collective, almost this collective worship moment. And I really did not mean to use collective, but I did, and I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, Josh. But it's just so cool. I'm so thankful that you did it, and we're just really appreciative of not only your time in doing that and knocking that out before you guys went to Europe, but also taking time to be with us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Jim
Thank you.
far down the trail, if you can catch him, but we don't want to hold you up too long.
Oh, it's fine. I think they just went to Red Rocks.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Oh, no big deal.
Yeah, no worries.
All we have James River. So what's
Hey,
like down there?
Some catfish.
smelly, but it's not fine.
Lord. Yeah. Ugh, Brandon would say his family owns half of it. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. Anyways, well, we appreciate you. Thank you for being on this episode. Anything else you'd like to add? I don't want to cut you off if you wanted to say something else.
He's like, no.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, this concludes this episode. And just like our flows seamlessly into Wise, this episode is going to flow seamlessly into the